Yes, guys, and welcome back to the unhinged, the undefeated, and the unbreakable TCP live coming at you live. This really hurts. That really hurts. Live at 7:30 p.m. every Thursday evening, unless Rohan's late. It's just 2 years, mate.
No, you
on
need
YouTube.
to look at you need to look to the
Sorry,
floor.
need to look at the floor. Needs to look at the floor.
Yeah.
And available ad free on YouTube memberships and Patreon, mate. Yeah, it's just who we are. Just who we are. Do you want to ask me a question and I can get defensive?
Thoughts on the corner that should have been a corner, Ange?
Look, you media guys, asking me questions about things that I'm responsible for. It's a disgrace. I can't do this. Welcome back to TCP Live, everybody. I am crying. Thank you all for being here. Tottenham Hotspur, it's happened again. Michael, hello. V-Brad, hello. Joseph, hello. Very well, Jeeves, hello. Forda, hello. Don't know, hello. The Cannon podcast saying Rohan's told me he's going to be late. Why were you late?
So I had my appraisal today. Right? And it went on for so long. So I was a bit late from that, and I had to do a few other things. And I realized I could rush. But I thought, I won't rush. 5 minutes is fine. 5 minutes.
You know what that sounds like? Excuses. Excuses.
Yeah. I am definitely more punctual than you.
Yeah. Someone's saying hairline reveal as punishment. What do you think about that?
Hairline reveal will not be happening. And it's completely fine. It's completely fine.
It's completely fine, he assures us. Joel Shaw. Here's some cash because Spurs are shite. This is gonna be a fun TCP live. I can tell, Joel. Thank you so much for your super chat. It's gonna be okay. So we just moved the super chat on, do we? Joel paid his money to get something on the screen, and you move it. Do you know how rude this guy is?
No, I didn't need to.
It's crazy. We want to come, of course, to the Spurs game. We want to come to the Šeško rumors. We want to come to Zube. Sfere Naipan. I want to talk about Gary Neville's comments about Nico Jova. I want to talk about the fact that I look a bit like Max Dowman. I want to talk about Saka and Ødegaard. I want to talk about the size of our club. Yeah, you all thought I was going to say something else, didn't you? Silly Billy Awards. But Rohan, how are you, my good friend?
Great. Absolutely great. I was actually today.
Can you move your mic closer to you? Or maybe move closer to the screen. There we go. Yeah, lovely stuff.
Sorry, I'm in a bit of a fidgety mood.
Oh yeah, why?
I was actually really gassed to do this today. I mean, I'm always gassed to do it, but after yesterday's result, I was like, yes.
It's absolutely lovely. It's absolutely lovely. Before we do that, of course, though, we have to do a little thumbnail check and a little check of the Discord. Will you pull up the Discord for our ratings while I find our lovely thumbnail from Mr.
Right,
Alexander
I'm gonna have to get my
Forda.
phone. I'm gonna have to get my phone then. It's on charge.
Oh Jesus Christ! You're gonna leave me? Don't leave me! Don't leave me! Here's thumbnail. Chat. Let us know what you think in the comments. Here it is. It's just who we are, mate. So I mean, there's some lovely detail on this week. We've got Rohan as either Carlos Cuesta or I'm not quite sure who that is. That is me. My hair looks. I quite like my hair there. I think I should go back to that. Someone, I don't know who's eating a burger, or maybe the burger is related to the.
Oh my
the barbecue.
God! What is happening here? We've
got Ange on the Barbie. We've got Pedro Porro. There's so much detail this week. It's a lovely one. We've got the corner flag, of course. We've got, I believe that's James Maddison gone down. What are we saying? Can
you zoom out? I've not seen this properly. I've not seen it.
I think that's solid.
That is elite. Look at the detail. The detail.
Let me do that. I'm giving it. I'm going to. If you listen to this on audio, I'm so sorry, but that's TCP Live for you, isn't it? I'm going to give it a 9, actually.
Yeah. Definitely a 9.
I'm going to give it a 9. It's an excellent thumbnail. How do we get on with the ratings last week? Remember, you can rate us on Discord. If you join us on Discord, you can find our ratings for, I think we said, expected wokeness, expected waffle, expected ball knowledge, and expected lateness was the other one, Rohan. So you're done this week.
So, are you ready? Yeah,
I'm always ready.
I've got two in-depth analysis on our performance last week. Right.
Okay.
So from Patrick Walters, Alex, 8 out of 10. Played a great secondary role as the pivot man for Rohan's elite airplane waffle.
This is the one before. You're reading you're reading an old one.
Oh god. Okay.
You're reading an old one.
I've got one.
This is why you can't host.
I could definitely host. Ask the chat. No, I could host. Okay, right. From Ariane, Alex, 7 out of 10. Rounding down due to being willing to be bought out by Saudi money.
Right, I'm not having that. If someone offered you your job, if someone offered you money from Saudi level money to be a content creator, you'd do it. Of course you would.
Somebody's not a proper Arsenal fan.
Well, you wouldn't sell even a toe for Isak, so you're not real, are you?
Yes, because I am being truthful. and the actual metrics, right? Expected waffle, 7 out of 10 for you. Expected ball knowledge, 7.5. Woke tilt, 7.
Woke tilt. That wasn't even a thing. Well, these ratings have gone off the. I give you clear instructions.
I got a 7.5 out of 10, mate. What? I'm looking at the ratings. That's the ratings.
Not having it. Expected waffle, expected ball knowledge, expected wokeness, expected lateness. No deviation. Not having it. How was your North London derby experience? Where were you? Where did you watch it? What happened?
So I was actually really annoyed that it was on a Wednesday, and obviously kicking off in the evening because I can't make it. So I was watching it at home, and it was very wholesome, very wholesome. I was actually really nervous before the game, and I was a bit shocked while I was nervous because I actually fancied us throughout the entire day when I was thinking about it. And mate, when Spurs scored that first goal, I was like, oh god, yeah. It's just this seems to be like a common trend, in terms of one moment and they managed to capitalize. But then the goals, the celebration that I did when Trossard scored, oh my god, went mental. But I was very nervous for the last 10 minutes. The last 10 minutes of the game. Usually when I'm watching Arsenal under Mikel, like you know that when we are willing to suffer, we'll get over the line. We've done it so many times. But I felt really nervous, like in that final 10 minutes. And I don't know how it looked from a neutral's perspective and how if they ever felt Arsenal looked like they were going to concede. But I just felt, that something was going to happen. And when Pedro Porro hit the post, I thought, okay, that was the moment. Done. And
Yeah, it was. I mean, I very rarely get bevved during games, but I decided last night. I had a little bev. Yeah, I loved it.
Oh, yeah.
It just added to the atmosphere. I was singing along. It was good. It was Oh mate, listen. For North London derby, you've got to get a little cruise campo in. Do you know what I mean? I had a little bev on the stream in celebration, but yeah, it was absolutely lovely. It was a really lovely performance. I mean, I'll be real as we come into our discussions about it. It was not perfect, and there are some issues that I had with our performance. But I think it's the sort of game where it can ignite a season energetically. You know what I mean? And I think that is something that I was really pleased with. The energy in the stadium, the energy from the crowd. We sort of discussed it a little bit on the instant reaction. Like, you can look at the numbers and the stats, and of course, there's issues with this team. No one's saying there isn't. Obviously, there is. But I think that sort of game is the sort of thing that can hopefully turn the tide energetically, because it has felt like we've sort of been circling a plug hole. Even with when we've won, it's just felt like, okay, almost like it's not like a boost. It's like, well, that's what we should be doing. And then every draw and loss is just another go around the plug hole. A win just stops the turn. So I'm hoping we can build a bit of positive momentum now, and sort of go back up the plug hole like a spider climbing out from a drain.
I was just thinking about that spider that was in your house. Do you remember that?
Jesus Christ, that was terrifying. I'm watching Ange Postecoglou just not answer questions, getting defensive, being angry.
You're on his neck, aren't you? I always see tweets. You're on his neck. Yeah, oppressed.
You know what it is, right? I don't like people who abuse positions of power. I find it really I you don't have to say this on stream. Obviously, I'm in a position here where I get you on the podcast, so don't answer it. But like, whenever I'm in a position where like I can do something for someone, abusing that position, I think, is one of the worst things you can do to another person, because you're not special just because you're in a certain position. You're part of something. You're playing a role. And the way he speaks to journalists, I've said it before, I just don't like it. I do not like it. The rumors that come out about Addison, etc., and the fact that he can't even back up his own bollocks about, yeah, mate, I always win the second year with actual performances. Where are they? 13th? Like, I just hate it. It's arrogance. It's all Spursy. I mean, I love it for Spurs. Keep them around as long as you want. But that arrogance and that sort of like very, I don't know, just like nasty taste in your mouth, not being a good loser, all that good stuff. Don't like it. Not a fan.
Yeah, I mean, they're just so tin pot, aren't they?
They really are.
So tin pot. I mean, yeah, I mean, I wonder what the general opinion is of Ange from Tottenham fans. Because I do think they've had it rough this season as well in terms of the injuries. As much as we talk about our injuries, they've also had a very difficult season in that regard as well. But I've always felt with Ange, his downfall will be the fact that he is so like he's so motivated by his own principles, and he won't deviate away from it. And despite who he has, and I always go back to Mikel's, the early spell of Mikel when he wasn't able to assemble the squad that represents his own identity. He had to adapt to the players that he had at his disposal whilst maintaining certain principles. And the way that we played in that FA Cup, 2020 FA Cup, that is not the way that Mikel wanted us to play. But we were able to get over the line by playing a different brand of football. And I just can't see that ever happening with Ange and Spurs. Now, if you're going to go along the route of, I want to maintain my principles, then you need lots and lots and lots of money. And they've spent a lot of money, right? But they need they just need him to be able to have full control of it. And that's a massive risk, isn't it? You're giving the manager complete control over transfers when, the evidence that you have in front of you right now in terms of his time at Tottenham, it's difficult to give someone that control. So I don't think he will be successful there.
I was speaking to Henry Wright yesterday on his channel, and we're talking about Spurs, obviously a Spurs fan, and I do have sympathy for the fact that they're playing Archie Gray, who, by the way, Archie Gray, what a player. I do have sympathy with the fact they're playing Archie Gray and Spence and this Kinski guy and Dragusin and all these guys. Well, absolutely. Yeah. But then, as you say, he's not adapting and not changing his principles. And then that goes into like this sort of this superiority that I talk about, this arrogance that I feel of him. And the same with and it sounds silly, but even someone like a Thomas Frank. I feel like with managers like Thomas Frank, Eddie Howe, Arteta, Pep, Amorim, they know how good the other team is, and it feels like they respect them. Feels like they talk about them in the press, etc. Whenever I get quotes, I always see quotes from other managers saying they're unbelievable. I love their qualities about this player. What journey they've gone through. I never hear that from Ange, and I think he just is that single track thing. And you can't be in my opinion, you can't be a good leader if you can't adapt. If you can't go, okay, well, I see that I'm going to take that idea from that person, take that idea. Nah, mate, I'll just do my own thing. No, you will just get found out. You will just get found out. The best managers can adapt. And I also said this as well. If you're going to be, if you look at the trends of the league over the last sort of 10 or so years, control has won out. Pep and that idea. Now, I'm not saying that, oh, mate, this guy, I met, I'm going to forget your name. Aaron, I think his name was Aaron. Dude, you were such a nice guy. I met this guy on the street. He recognized me. It was so nice. Apologies if I butchered your name, but you were such a nice guy. Thank you so much. But yeah, one of the big things was the control over the last sort of 10 years. Now, it's not to say that a kind of high tempo attacking, Klopp type thing can't win. It can. It did in 1920, right? But in terms of the trend of the league, of what is doing well, and positional football and all that sort of stuff, if you are going to go the Ange route, that's fine. You have to get big space players who don't fall over. Virgil van Dijk. If you don't have Virgil van Dijk at the back, basically you can't play that brand of football. And he persists and persists and persists and persists after 2 seasons with Romero and Van der Ven. And it's not a mistake. It's similar with Arteta's fullbacks. It's a concern I have about Arteta. It's not a coincidence to me that those 2 centre backs are falling over all the time because they're being asked to do crazy stuff that I don't think they're actually asked that they technically can do consistently week in, week out. It's really that's one of my issues with him in the second half. The way he used Bergvall at 18 years old. Bergwijn did brilliantly, but compared to Arteta, who's the other end of the spectrum, super conservative with a lot of young players up until now with Miles, who we will come to, there is. For me, there is a responsibility there to not put someone like a Bergwijn in that position, because he wasn't, but there's another day where his reputation is gone and his confidence goes. So I think there's a lot of kamikaze management from Ange that I just don't like seeing. Anyway, Spurs are rubbish. I don't care. Let's talk about us.
Let's talk about the individuals.
Lovely.
Individuals.
Who do you want to go for?
I'll let you go first.
Miles. Man, I love this guy. I don't know if you saw, there was this interview. Actually, I'm going to try and get it up. So stupid. You didn't even smile. Okay.
No, you completely went off. I don't know if it was my connection or.
Oh, I made a silly Willy joke. There was an interview with him, which I want to play now on here. Let me just see if I can get it over. Here it is.
The one with Ian Wright.
Yeah, Ian Wright asked. Actually, I'm not going to play it just in case of copyright. But basically, Ian Wright says something along the lines of, you scared of anyone in the league? You're playing up against Brennan Johnson, you're playing against Kulusevski. And before he even finishes the question, he's just like, no. He's like, not scared of anyone. Like, why would I be? Of course, Liverpool fans somehow make it about themselves. Oh, was he scared of Mohamed Salah? Yes, he was beaten by the Ballon d'Or winner in an out of position, having come on cold against the guy in 70 GA seasonal form. Yeah, he was at 18 years old. Well done. Was that clip of Michael Owen? It was like, well done.
Oh, yeah, what's that clip?
Well done. He's 13 or whatever it is. Hold on, mate. But yeah, it's just like the mentality on this kid is unbelievable. I love the way he's cheering up the crowd, the bravery, the positivity. We've spoken about it, but also, mate, just in terms of on a tactical level, what he gives us, the thrust from there, that pass, I think it's 2 or 3 minutes in, where he just puts it straight forward into Raheem Sterling. That mindset to go forward. We know Arteta, how he uses his wingers and midfielders and forwards and stuff. It isn't always the most positive. If our fullbacks can be the guys who provide us that thrust, mate. If this is because Miles has the passing quality, so I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. Even in that moment, right, and it kind of set the tone of the entire game in terms of his performance, and also the opposite side with Timber in terms of what he offered in the press as well. Is that we kind of bait Spurs to go wide, then Dragusin plays that pass to Kulusevski, and Miles is there to step in. And by the way, Kulusevski is a very powerful carrier. And Miles, every single time they were in a duel, he just bounced off him, and it's crazy the level of quality that we have with Miles and also Ethan Onyeri. And I tweeted out that, we've got £200 million talents from Hale End, and that's going to save us a ton of money. And I think with Miles, that moment as well, in terms of the drive and the thrust, as you alluded to, and the release to Sterling, it's something that Arsenal have lacked throughout this season. It's something they lacked last season as well in terms of central progression and the ability to break lines in the middle of the park and to take your man on. And that is something that he has given in every single game that he's featured in. And I've felt that every single time that he's started, it's been a minimum 8 out of 10 performance. Yeah. And that's crazy for an 18-year-old not playing in his best role. And I don't think we deep that sometimes. And I think we see it as the norm. And I always kind of talk about this where, we've seen Miles in the early parts where he was getting games against, Monaco, and he did fantastic in the build up to Saka's goal. And we've just kind of expected these sorts of performances from him week in, week out. But it's actually crazy what he's doing, and the dynamism that we have with Miles and Timber, it just takes us to another level in terms of how we enter the final third. And what really annoys me about this is that, Arsenal fans, again, it's probably a small minority, but how, it felt like with Miles and Ethan, people were reluctant to start them and give them minutes because of their age. But you'd only need to see them and what they've been doing in the academy, and also the small glimpses that you saw in pre-season, to recognise that these talents are ready. They're ready for the Premier League. And Mikel, despite the frustrations that we had early on in terms of being conservative with Ethan and also Miles, he rates them so highly because he's put them in the toughest game states. He's not put them in easy game states. In that early part of the season, he would throw them in where it was very difficult because he trusts them, and we're so blessed. We're so blessed to have these two. And No, I'm so happy because I do have a feeling in which the squad is also going to be built around Miles and Ethan as well, and it absolutely should. So
his dual success percentage. So again, this is a decent sample now. Total duels won, he's at a 72% win ratio, and ground duels won, he's at an 81% dual win ratio.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Do you realize like the tactical key that is to have someone who can go into the center of the park and win that many duels? Like you can set up and the distances your wingers can give you, the next pass that you can go to an Ødegaard or out wide to a Saka, whatever it might be. If you have that amount of reliability and consistency at 18 years old,
yeah, exactly.
Like that is it's so special, man. And it's also like just on a kind of a more soft factory level, someone who knows exactly what it is to go and play in a North London derby, someone who understands what it means to the fans, someone who's been there, done that. Is an Arsenal, been in Arsenal's academy since he was 8 years old, like gets it, has played in these before in the youth academy, comes to the first team, understands what it means. It shouldn't matter, but it kind of does.
I think it does matter though. I think it does because it gives, I don't know how to describe it, but it gives it an edge, and it will always mean more to fans when it's someone who has been brought up in that area, is Arsenal through and through, and he's able to give that type of performance. And I always think when we're looking at big North London derbies over the years, I reckon a lot of people, one of their favourite games would have been in 21-22, the 3-1, where Saka and Emil Smith Rowe both get their first goals in the North London derby. It does give that extra edge. 100%. And I feel like yesterday as well. That's what when I'm comparing yesterday's North London derby, I look back at that North London derby, 21-22, when we had Saka and Emil Smith Rowe, and they made their first major impacts in a North London derby. And it's the same with Miles as well. And at the end, when he was giving it to the crowd and just, I love that stuff. I love that stuff. Yeah. So
it's so good. Yeah. It's so good. There, credit to him. And also, I think we've said this before, but it kind of bears repeating. Credit to, when he, I think someone just put in the comments, when Mikel came in, he was 13 years old. And he managed his own development, and people around him managed his development. His parents and his agent and all these people will have managed that development, and Arsenal are managing it brilliant. We're seeing the final piece, but all that stuff that's gone through is really important. Let's come to some other players then. This is one of the coldest photos I've ever seen. It is so good. I mean, we could take your pick out of any of them. Maybe actually, no, you can't. Sorry. Just for those of you listening on audio, it's Gabriels, Saliba and Timber. I think on Timber, we said this last night. I think there's some rumours that White might be back fairly soon in the next couple of weeks, which I think would be massive for Timber, not because I want to take him out of the team, but because he needs a bit of rest. There was moments last night where I felt as though he was a little bit late to his marker, which is fine because it's Spurs. But I just think in some games we might get found out, and that's, I'm not blaming him, by the way. It's just a case that he needs some rest. I think he's absolutely maxed out. William Saliba, as he looks in that picture, is just the boss. He is just the absolute boss of this team, and he is a world-class talent, one of the best centre-backs in the world, if not the best. But I want to talk about Gabriel last night. I thought Gabriel had an absolutely unbelievable game. And actually, he scored the goal. But again, providing this thrust. I think, what do you want to see in a team? What do you want to see in your team? In the same way that with Miles, you kind of see yourself represented as a young, fan watching, or someone who's grown up watching Arsenal, whatever. You want to see yourself like imagine what it'd be like to play for Arsenal. You want to see someone who feels like it matters to them as much as it matters to you. And the way he plays, it just feels like it matters to him. And he's got the quality to defend. I mean, that last-ditch tackle against, Slanky in the box, it's one of the best pieces of defending you'll see all year. And it won't even get picked up. It won't be one of those things that people say, that brilliant. It's just because this is what he does. It's unbelievable. And the platform that these guys give us, wow.
I want to focus a lot on Gabriel because sometimes I just don't think he gets his flowers, even though I do think mainstream-wise, we've seen Rudiger, we've seen him be in the PFA Team of the Year. So it is...
Get some water.
It is the case of he's getting that recognition, but I still think that what he's producing still gets overlooked because of what Willow does, and Willow being the generational player he is. I think sometimes Gabriel doesn't get that same spotlight. And what I like about Gabriel is that I think when we look at Mikel Arteta's tenure at Arsenal and we look at players who have been through the peaks and the troughs, from the moment in which he was able to, his role changed, in which he was heavily involved in transfers. Gabriel was his first big purchase. And from the moment we got him, we saw a player who was raw in certain aspects, but he had the qualities. And those qualities, it was a case of whether they could be extracted or not. And he could take his game to that next level. And he's done that from day one in terms of, we saw at the start in which... but people keep saying
bro has a crazy aura.
Well, people keep saying
you got it right.
No, people say I'm getting very close. It's because I can't see the comments, so that's
you haven't got your glasses.
Yeah, exactly. I don't like wearing glasses as well. But anyway, Gabriel, I think when we look at the player that first came to it, what is that? That's a different color.
It's squash, but it's gone weird. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, My Protein getting that in there as well, yeah?
Not sponsored, but if you want to.
Yeah. But I think with Gabriel, just like I mentioned before, just as you went away, he was the first big purchase in the Arteta tenure, alongside obviously Partey happened afterwards, but that was later in the window. And I think with Gabriel, we look at his journey, he's gone through the peaks and the troughs that we've seen under Mikel. And from where he came, he was a dynamo. Had the qualities, but he was also very impulsive in some of his actions. And we see the moments against Southampton where he gets sent off. We've seen it against Man City where he gets sent off. If you go back to the 22-23 season, I don't know if you remember it against Fulham, the Mitrovic moment in which he loses possession and he scores. But I've always felt of Gabriel in that period, right? He would make mistakes, but he would always react. Every single game, he'd react. Like in that game, he'd get the winner. And in other games, he'd be able to respond really well. I remember when he made a mistake against Liverpool, Darwin Núñez. But then just before half-time, he plays a massive role in the goal for Saka. So we saw a player there in which there was so...
How does this guy remember this?
Oh, I watched too much Arsenal.
I love it.
But I think then, we're kind of then expecting him to develop more consistency throughout the entirety of 90 minutes. And over the past 2 seasons, 2 years plus, he is in the top percentile of centre-backs in the world. Hands down, and that is a byproduct of a player who is always willing to show that commitment to improve every single day, but also the coaching that Mikel has done alongside the other staff to get him to this level shouldn't be overlooked, because I don't think people would have expected Gabriel to get to the level that he is right now from when we signed him. Everyone probably thought he'd be a good player. Everyone saw the qualities that he had, but to get to this level and the consistency, and again, it's the same with Saliba. What Gabriel does every single week is deemed as the norm from us. So we don't tend to talk about it much, but then that's us taking it for granted. And then you see other fans look at it and they see this partnership and think, wow, wish I had that. Yeah. We should keep talking about them because they are just outstanding. Incredible.
I think sometimes for balance, people try and do this thing where they're like, maybe there's things you could improve on the ball. Yeah. Bro, like this guy's operating at a world-class level at what he does.
Yeah.
Yes, he could improve on the ball. Of course he could. Saka could improve with his heading.
Yeah,
Messi could have improved. Nothing. Ronaldo could nothing. Raya could improve. Whatever. You can find a thing with someone that they can improve at, or you can say, "Oh, what does he do? What type of centre back is he?" And then you put him in a pairing in the right mode. I mean, Saliba last night on the ball added all the value you need from that area. You don't need someone next to him trying to be the main guy on the ball. I think Gabriel could improve on the ball, but that's not the point. It's like you then miss out all the stuff he does, and we forget about how many times he heads the ball away in terms of clearances. We forget about his role in our defensive set pieces. We forget about his role in terms of going deep in that corner in the build-up and then getting us out accurately and quickly when we've got teams right onto us. Like that ball out from the left, I would say sometimes even more accurate than the ball out from the right, whether it's from Timber or Saliba. So he's not bad on the ball at all. And, maybe he could ping a few more 80-yard passes. But honestly, I don't need him to. It's not his job. I don't see that as his role. So honestly, man, I just think the pair of them deserve their flowers and they deserve
and we look at
the best centre-backs in the Premier League in the Emirates era, in my opinion.
For sure, 100%. I think when we talk about a lot of Arsenal's press in terms of it being the best quality that we have as a unit, right? that stems from the platforming that Gabriel and Saliba have to others. You know, their ability to defend the channels 1v1, their ability to swap roles depending on who's the aggressor, who's the sweeper, how they work in tandem, just everything. And when Arsenal are not able to control the game with the ball and we're willing to suffer, these guys, they just head everything. They clear everything. And their intelligence in box situations, as you alluded to with the Solanke moment, 2 moments, the first half and the second half, you know, in isolation. That reliability that they give just gives you the confidence to be able to see a game out when it is getting difficult. And no, we are so blessed, so blessed.
C. Mora says, think his teeth help him because he looks like a lion when tackling you. C. Mora, you're one of these people who types all caps at the beginning of every word. Yeah. Does that not take ages? So there's people who type in all those people who never use capital letters. They've turned off capital letters on their. Can
you turn that off? Can you?
Yeah.
On your phone. Oh yeah. On your phone. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Here's a question: red receipts on or off?
Oh, on.
On. Red receipts on.
Yeah,
Who are those people who think? Who do you think you are?
Yeah, exactly.
Who do you
I agree. Yeah.
I'm not going to show you if I've read. No, just reply.
Yeah. You're not that important.
You're not that important. Debbie in HR. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, well, if they see I've read my message, shut up. Actually, to be fair, Gonny, depends on the person. I actually, if I could, turn them on for some people and turn them off for others. That is true. I've just completely.
But you can't do that though on like WhatsApp, can you? You got to commit to one or the other.
I think you got to commit. I also think just let people know if you read them off, if they're being ticked.
Okay, but you've definitely done it where like you see a message, you know it's going to be a long one. You're like, I'll pass it out later.
But then voice notes are automatically on 1.5. I'm not listening. You know those people send you like 9-minute voice notes.
Oh, I can't deal with voice notes as well. I can't deal with them. I'd rather
You're always walking in yours.
Yeah. Get my steps in, innit?
Yeah, you're always walking somewhere.
How many steps do you do a day? How many steps do you do a day on average?
Geez, my step count will be horrific today. I haven't really moved. What are we saying? What's yours? Let us know what your step count in the chat.
Let's have a look.
Today, how do I find it on activity?
If you go to health.
That's not true. Hang on. 5. No, that's the 16th. Why can't I see for today? 5,757 steps.
But then if you click on steps, you can see your average for the year and you can compare.
Vlad, you've done 25 steps today, bro. Move around. Bro, move around. Honestly, stop watching the stream. Go move around.
No, I think 25k Vlad's done. 25k steps.
Oh no, I've done 6,968 steps today. My yearly average, so February 24 to February 25, is 7,588. What's yours?
Last year?
Yeah. No, like daily average.
Yeah, so this year mine is 10,470.
But you work at an office,
But also mine would be higher because I can't take my phone on site. And I'm walking around a lot.
And half of them is you bouncing your leg. So,
so I reckon about 12k. Give me 12k. I'm pretty active.
I need to up my steps, to be fair, but I do think the 10,000 thing is rubbish. 25,000 steps. What are you doing?
When you go on holiday, if you're not doing like minimum 17k a day, you're just a disgrace.
What are you doing on holiday? 17,000 steps.
You got to see the sights and attractions, and then
you're one of them guys. You're one of them that gets there. You're like my mum. Just
no, don't do this. No, you're
itemize list from moment one. Right. Alexander, I thought that we could wake up at 8 a.m. and go for breakfast in the other side of the stratosphere, and maybe in another country. No.
We're waking up at like 11 o'clock. We're getting out like 11, 12 o'clock, and then we're going to maximize it. You got to see the stuff, though. I don't do the itinerary of, we've got to wake up at 8 o'clock, and then we've got to have lunch at this time. We've got to have dinner. You go with the flow, but you got to do your steps. You have to.
Sark Marketing says I would do 100,000 steps any day. No, you wouldn't. You
No,
work
no,
in marketing. You work in marketing. You're not a log. You're not like a bricklayer. You're not doing 100,000 steps.
100K steps.
Don't lie on the stream.
I don't think you recognise how much that is. 100K.
Dial Square, thank you so much for the super chat. Very kind. Don't you think Saliba's impact on? I think we had another one. Oh, we had another one from Emirates Era. Sorry, Emirates missed that one. Studying for law school exams right now. Wish me luck, guys. Good luck, Emirates Era. Good luck. You got this. I would suggest watching TCP live is not good preparation for.
No, don't watch us.
Unless, why don't you put a legal thing that we can, maybe football related. I don't want to read some of these things in the chat that people are saying. A football thing in the chat about legalities and see what we say. We can give you some advice. Dial Square, don't you think Saliba's impact on the ball that's for us, Chair, is difficult to notice, especially for the casual eye? I think his importance in first phase is overlooked, whereas with Gabby, it's more obvious in duels, etc. Yeah, I think like Gabriel is probably appeals to like the Martin Keown era guys. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's those guys who are like, get into it, passion.
I love this super chat. I love it because I think with Saliba, right? I've said it many times in the pod, and I think he's having such an underrated season. And again, it goes back to the levels that he's already reached and what we expect from him. But this season, in terms of on the ball, not just his passing, but his all-round game has gone up a level. When we look at some of our best attacks this season in terms of sequences, it's Saliba who has been the first one to pass the ball or carry the ball inside the block to open up space. Whether it's a feint, a shoulder drop, so many times it's Saliba who is the guy who's done that. And I think there's also, again, really good data, EPL analytics. He's done like a threat zone across the entire pitch. And I think Saliba's right there, just before the halfway line in the centre within that zone, as offering the most threat out of any player in the Premier League. His ability on the... And yesterday, what really stood out was those passes towards Sterling, those passes towards Timber, the messaging that he was giving with those balls. And I think it makes such a big difference. It's the same with Miles as well, in terms of his passing towards Trossard. It just allowed the wingers to stay higher and to receive facing play as opposed to coming deeper to collect the ball. And it makes such a difference. And the great man, Arsene, calls it technical empathy. George loves that one. He loves it.
Bloody woke tacticos. Rubbish. Another thing that I think gets underrated is like Saliba isn't just, and people who are watching this wouldn't believe this, but I think some people think he's just knocking it round. Stop knocking it round the back. Although I think I have told people on this stream that I went to an Arsenal game recently and someone said, are we not even going to try and build up?
Because every time I go, it's always oh, we're faffing around with all this.
Yeah. There was this guy next to me going, we're not even going to try and build up. Really? It was such. I was like,
that'll kill me. That'll kill me.
I was like, people like me have ruined this fan base. 100%.
Yeah, this is your fault.
But like, I think some people still think it's just you're just knocking it round the back. But let's say Saliba will have a job in his mind, and say his job is to get these two markers apart. Then he will be going, right, okay, so how do I do that? I need to put the right tempo on the pass to make that movement happen so this player can't step over. Maybe, Timber will be aware, okay, we need to try and create this separation in here. So that ball needs to go back over quickly. Saliba might do it a few more times, might go there. And then when you created enough separation, that's when that ball goes in, as an example. Or, for example, he might be wanting to get this player to press onto him, so he changes his positioning. And if you look, there's always pattern, and then this happens, and then once that steps up, the idea that they're just knocking it round for no reason, they're looking to provoke actions, and then they'll go long, whatever it might be. So I think that isn't necessarily always appreciated with the players at the back, and the way they do that. I mean, put it this way: have you watched Arsenal this season and thought we're struggling to get out here?
Yeah.
I haven't. And that is a marker of Saliba, Gabriel, Raya, Timber, those guys, like what they do. And I'm also a marker of the coaches looking at all the actions that we're trying to provoke and seeing what things that teams do. It is a criticism of Adam Mikel, though, sometimes, because I bet he does most of his time on that, by the way.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Getting to the final third, then there's the question. And maybe we should come on to that in a second.
Definitely.
let's just do the super chat, and then I want to come to something. Speaking of not praising people enough, you guys are so great at this. With all the kinds of fans we have in our fan base, you guys represent the best of us. Always based. TCP #1. Little late. That is the nicest super chat I think I've ever had.
Nice. That's actually made me very happy. Mate, that's so nice.
You can stay. You can stay. That's very nice. Very kind. I'm gonna cry. I just want to say thank you very much to everybody. Thanks to My Protein, which you can get, which is available on the link in the description. No, it's not. It's not.
It's not.
Not sponsored. Before we move on to maybe a slight negative, and then we come on to transfers. Let's do one more positive from the Spurs game. What do you want to talk? Vibes, a player, an action.
Oh no, we missed him. We missed. For me, arguably man of the match, Declan Rice.
Declan Rice. Go on then.
Unbelievable performance. Ridiculous. I think with Declan Rice, if you look at his performance, and sometimes now it's actually frustrating because people say, "Oh, Declan Rice, he's not been great this season." He's been ridiculous since Sporting away. Actually, since Chelsea away. We've had such a long stretch of games since then in which Rice has been consistent. And I thought yesterday, and we'll probably talk about him in terms of Zubamendi and what with his potential arrival, what that does for Declan Rice, or what I'd hope it does for Declan Rice. And it's like with Rice, I felt we saw all of his best qualities in that game yesterday. So many touches, receiving, facing play outside of the block in which he's able to dictate, the driving runs coming late as opposed to just staying high, which is not the best usage of Declan Rice. The pressing, which he always gives you. No midfielder in the world is better in the press than Declan Rice. And we have actually seen analysts, people from Premier League clubs talk about Declan Rice, what he gives to Arsenal in the press. And again, yesterday, he was fantastic in that regard. The quality from set pieces is just crazy. You go and watch every other team and their corners and the delivery you see, and they're nowhere near as consistent to the quality that Declan Rice hits them, and likewise Saka as well. And the other thing with Rice yesterday, I think got really overlooked was the level of quality he gave in deeper areas when tracking Kulusevski in the second half, because Spurs made the change. They put Kulusevski more inside, and Declan Rice, every single time when he was looking to make that run, he tracked it and he nullified his threat. Just all-round top performance. And for me, £105 million star asset, build the team around him. He's so good. He's got so many qualities. He may not be world-class at the thing that Rodri does really well in terms of being able to dictate completely on the ball and being able to pick up the right pass every single time. He can still develop that. He's still very young. But all the other qualities, and by the way, he's not bad at that. It's just there are better players than him in that aspect. But the other qualities that he gives you out of possession, there is not a better midfielder in the world than Declan Rice. I don't think we realise that. And I think maybe we're a bit afraid. We're afraid to say that. He's that good. And, oh, wait, we're so lucky to have him. Genuinely.
Netweed says, toothless. It's still a fake tooth. I'll still go away from my implant.
Oh, yeah. Implants are quite... They hurt a bit, don't they, as well? It'll
be another few months or so. I just thought it'd be funny. Netweed says, toothless. Only teeth is this guy's passive-aggressive social lash-outs of proper Arsenal fans. I could not agree with you more. Not agree with you less. Can't find out what I'm saying. I think he's absolutely right about in terms of what Rice said in his post-match about the difference between the atmosphere on social media and the atmosphere in the ground. When Havertz's name was read out, the entire stadium cheered. That is what most actual Arsenal fans feel about their team. That really, honestly, it is. And I think also something I wanted to say as well. I think we forget, firstly how much football Rice has played. And he said, I think he told Sky, I think this was October, he said, to be honest with you, I've not been feeling 100% fit so far. I've kind of been doing my preseason in the Premier League, but today I feel like I took a real step. I could feel it within myself. I was feeling back to myself, and he's slowly building into this season. I want people to recognize what this guy does. I think we spend so much time looking at what players can't do. And we said it about Gabriel as well.
Yeah.
Like, we spend so much time focusing on what the players can't do that it's important to look at what they can do. And, it's much easier to say that when we've won. Of course it is. No one's saying it isn't. But yeah, I think it's, he's had a brilliant sort of last month or so. And just the legs and the impetus he provides growing into this season. I think Rice is brilliant. I wanted to come to maybe a little concern, which we would have been talking about had we lost that game with 10 people watching. I wrote a list yesterday. I want to get your take on this of us in the final third. And this was basically it. Let me just bring it up for you. I'm frustrated with our lack of variety in the final third. And I sort of feel we've come to this point. We can circulate wide and try to find the underlap for the cutback, and we can cross from the half space. But in terms of other variety in the team, I think we lack shots from distance. I think we lack balls over the top for runners. I think we lack carries into the box. I think we lack whipped crosses. I think we lack combinations in zone 14. I think we lack creating physical separation in the box in terms of a pin and roll. I think we lack high turnover transitions, although then obviously immediately we scored one. I think we lack, but overall we know the numbers. I think we lack counter-attacking, but although that's maybe a stylistic conversation, I think we know we lack individual moments. I think we lack balls into the channel, and I think we lack out to in runs. That is a concern for me because none of that changed from yesterday. Yes, Trossard had that moment. I think confidence is a massive part of this, absolutely. But I just think there's a lot of things that we're lacking from our attacking identity at the moment.
Sorry, I'm just looking at the chat, and it's about City getting charged, maybe. Oh God!
I'll do some digging. Have a little.
Go back to that. That's what. Yeah, I think a lot of those. I mean, the balls over the top is something that I think is something that will help us a lot against those physical mid blocks. And I've mentioned it many times in terms of teams that are looking to squeeze the middle of the park. You look at your Evertons and the Sean Dyches, your Newcastles. Those balls over the top are really good in terms of disconnecting the back line and the midfield for you to then win second balls. And I don't think we do that enough. I remember we did it really well against Porto in that one moment in the build-up to Trossard's goal, but then we didn't see it enough. And the shots from distance, again, I think some of these will be dictated heavily on the players that we have right now. I mean, shots from distance, that's where you look at someone like a Šeško, for example. He's very impulsive in his actions. When he receives it, he will look to get shots off quickly. And you see other players as well across the league, like an Mbeumo as well, for example, always being willing to take shots quickly after receiving. And we spoke about counter-attacking. We spoke about high turnover transitions. What actually was good to see yesterday was Trossard's goal and how quick we were when we won the ball back and we were able to get a shot off really quickly. And that is something that we've been saying many times. I've been saying it time and time again in terms of Arsenal being fantastic in the press. But from the moment in which we win the ball, what happens after that is quite stale. And to be fair, I know we had that one moment for the Trossard goal, but we had many moments which we won the ball back. And again, you're still seeing those same problems. And I just felt the year of yesterday to kind of look at it generally is that for me, we spoke about the things that we can do better and the list that you've given there as well. And some of them I don't think we'll see a lot of anyway, like balls into the channel. I don't think that is something that you're going to see from a Mikel team.
And counter-attacking too. But it's more the idea of just other things that we can be doing in the final third that we don't do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I think we did the rewatch against Newcastle and we spoke about the things that we can do better. But I think for me yesterday, it was very clear to see that we can do better in many aspects, but the driver is bringing greater quality into this team. It is. You bring greater quality. Yesterday, we're talking about 5 or 6 goals. Easily. 5 or 6 goals. How many times? I felt in the first half, and it's quite ironic, obviously, Trossard getting the goal, but I felt all of our play in the first half was getting stifled by our wingers, not making decisive actions, particularly Sterling, who I didn't think had a good game at all on the ball. And Trossard was frustrated. Yeah, I didn't. But although I do think with Sterling though, out of possession, I thought he gave us a lot in that aspect, and that is something that we have questioned him in terms of his commitment in the press off the ball. So that was really good to see. But I felt a lot of our play was stifled from our wingers in the first half, and the second half, Havertz he's going through a really bad slump at the moment as well, and you can see that this team quality will take us up to another level. We can do better on things, but I'm adamant that it's like 70-80% a quality thing more. Arsenal are not going to change their game model. I want to reiterate that they're not going to change. If you think they're going to change, and if you keep saying, "Oh, Liverpool doing this, that, the other," we can do things that we can do things better and learn from Liverpool. But we are not completely changing. This is what Mikel believes in. He's looked at the metrics. He's looked at the sustainability of the 38 games, and he backs it. And to be honest, I back it as well. I've said it many times.
Yeah, and if you're constantly taking shots from distance, think about where the location you're losing the ball in. If you think about crosses from the half space into a good target, and in terms of the cutbacks and the circulations out wide, if you can make those work, the volume and it's a good choice in terms of chance creation as an idea, because you have your best players out there. You're not losing the ball in a particularly horrible location. If you're, as I say, if you're trying to carry through and then you lose it and you're getting transitioned on constantly, that's why we can stay in the final third. So it's a calculated risk. I just put that list together because I was like, there's so many other ways you can attack in the final third. I think we can get a little bit more variation, but I'd probably put it more like 60% personally in terms of quality. Yeah, I do. I still think there's more we can.
Yeah, I think
do as an outside quality that needs to come in. I think there's more we can still do within, with Trossard and Havertz and Sterling, etc. We just need Saka back and Martinelli firing, etc. But a lot of it is going to be achieved.
But I do wonder, though. I do wonder, right? And we've lost our best player in Bukayo Saka, right? Let's say Liverpool lost.
Sorry, there was a clip of him before the game yesterday. I couldn't watch it. I'm so attached to that man. By the way, just quickly in the chat, it's from some ITK account. Maybe it's true. I don't know, but we're not gonna talk about it. It's a random account.
But how we talk a lot about the coaching and things we can do better. And again, I've mentioned it many times. We can do things better. But if a Liverpool lost to Salah, right, I feel like there'll be a lot of focus on how they attack as well if they lost someone like that and what they'd miss. And obviously, the quality is the driver there, losing Mohamed Salah. But then you're kind of thinking of ways in which Liverpool could improve in that situation. But the driver in that scenario would also be quality. And I think the same with Arsenal as well. I mean, like Mbeumo, for example. Mbeumo is one of the most decisive attackers in the Premier League in transition when they win the ball back. Do you not think like bringing someone like Mbeumo in and he's in that lineup and we win the ball back, we're going to create way more with that sort of player and that quality. So,
as you said, like an instinctive player, like a player who thrives off that.
Yeah.
Let's come to transfers. 52 minutes in, we haven't discussed transfers. What's the point? What's the point?
You've been on it, haven't you, on the transfers? I've seen a few. Your tweets have been flying on my timeline.
What's wrong with us? Well, I don't know what it takes for a little viral tweet. I think I'm above you in followers now. How do you feel about that?
Oh, yeah? Let's see.
I hope you feel rubbish about yourself. I hope because that is a marker of how good you are as a person. How many followers you have on Twitter is a direct correlation to how good you are as a person.
That dictates superiority. Yeah, you are.
Dial Square says, thoughts on City's transfers? A lot seem odd. The thought I have is that they're not trying to win the league this year, which again points to they're trying to do the rebuild now. Which I understand, because I also think, again, we'll come back to Arsenal in January, but sometimes people say, oh, it's a weird market, whatever. Sometimes there are deals that you can do in January that you couldn't do in the summer. People almost think about it like basically there's like 20% of the deals you could do in summer, and then 100% of summer are done in January, and then the rest are available in the summer. I don't always agree with that. I think there's actually a little extra portion of certain deals that can be done in January because of when certain leagues finish, or when where people are sort of in their cycle, etc. Especially when you're signing from abroad or South America, etc. I think you can get obviously pre-contracts and stuff done. I think there's types of deals that you can do in January that you can't do elsewhere, and I think they're taking advantage of that, and I think that's fine. In terms of Vitor, is it Vitor Reis? They're signing this Cambiasso guy. There's that Kusanov, who I think is the first, wherever he's from. I don't know where he's from.
I don't even know. Who they've signed.
But I do think it's interesting how much they're signing, considering the charges haven't dropped. And I wouldn't. I don't know. Maybe they feel they're going to be hit with a transfer ban or something. That could be. It basically Uzbekistan. Thank you guys in the chat. It could be a sign that they are absolutely guilty. They're trying to get everything done before the summer, or it could be a sign that they're very confident that actually they're fine. So who knows?
There's two ways to look at it. It does feel like though when I did have a quick look at who they signed, it is very much building for the future, and they do need a rebuild in their squad, right? I've said it many times. If you look at City games this season, the lack of legs in that midfield, how they're getting bypassed very easily, and also box defending as well. I don't know if you saw that metric. I think from
the worst in the league. Yeah, it's crazy.
The worst in the league. And I mean, when you see the goals they conceded against Brentford, it's not a surprise to see them where they are. It needs a massive rebuild. And then you've got your key pillars, the likes of Kevin De Bruyne, for example, moving towards the latter stage of his career, right? He still has the quality. We saw it in that game in the moments with the crossing. But yeah, they've got a lot of work to do. And if we're not thinking about the Chargers for a second, right, and everything that they've done over the years financially, right, it's definitely fair for them to have an off season in terms of not winning the league. You know, they've won it four times in a row, right? So I don't see it being something to focus heavily on. You know, City have won it 4 times, but there's going to be a moment in which they don't win it. So
yeah, exactly.
The only team to ever do it in the Premier League. So
the cycle's moving on, and Tom says it here. No one signs that many players in January without a motive, and I agree. There's a motive here, but the motive could be we're doing the rebuild because those are just things that we think we can do now. It could be a lot of our players want to leave now, so we need to replace them. There's a story there, of course there is. It's not just a coincidence. But I think we can jump as fans and go, it must be because of the charges. I don't know. Honestly, the longer it goes on with the charges, the longer I think. Obviously,
I feel like they'll get away with it. That's the feeling I get.
I think they're going to get away with more than we think. I don't think they'll get totally away with it, but it's not going to be. I don't think it's going to be all on.
I don't think it's going to be a relegation. That's. I don't think you're going to get something that extreme.
Well, Pep can.
But we will be there. We will be there.
We'll be there.
Okay, that news is announced.
Sam C reports had an exclusive earlier on, didn't he? Which was that Arsenal are in talks with RB Leipzig for Benjamin Šeško. Told Arsenal want a loan with by option. Leipzig want money upfront or an obligation. Understand Arteta has spoken with Šeško on more than one occasion. It wasn't Fabrizio Romano. That was my Fabrizio Romano impression. It wasn't him. In talks doesn't mean signing, unfortunately. It got me very excited, but if I actually was being
get repost very quickly.
If I was being fair, I think it was a bit of a. It was, bro. I honestly think I could tweet just the eye emoji, and maybe like a flag. And
you did something before. You did something before with me. Do you remember?
Oh, with Rob Holding.
That had like 5 million or something impressions.
That was an all-timer. I said that Rob Holding was signing a new contract when he was leaving, and I said that the source was you. And honestly, people absolutely fell for it.
People don't know this, right? I got a lot of DMs, and one of them was from like Sky Sports, and they were actually like, "Where did you get this information from?"
You got a DM from Sky?
Yeah, well, I think someone who works for Sky, or like a journalist. I can't remember what his name was. I had a look.
No,
I didn't even bother replying. I just left it. I was like, oh my god.
No, because the tweet was so obviously a joke. Exclusive. Rob Holding will stay at Arsenal. Arsenal working on a deal set to expire in 2029. This was June 2023. Arteta is said to be blown away by his commitment to the club, with Holding said to be particularly adept at card tricks and rapping to lift the mood a little bit. And a Sky Sports journalist.
He only had like 2K followers, but he was like...
That is insane. Odds on I tweet like just the eye emoji and then a flag of a country.
Do it now.
Just see what happens. What flag? Chat. What flag should I do? First person to comment gets the flag. And then we'll talk about Šeško. That's Sweden. Also, yes, Sweden. Okay, yeah, because that'll.
Yeah.
All right, I've tweeted the eye emoji and Sweden. We'll come back to it in half an hour. See what people say. That's so funny.
We've got to go through the comments as well.
yeah.
Šeško,
mate. As a player, I really don't see this happening in January. Unfortunately, if we're in talks and we want to spend the money and we want to do it, I think there is still a release clause flying around. But he's their best player and whatever. I think then Ornstein went on Highbury Squad, which I watched earlier, and he was talking about it. To be fair, people say, "Oh, Ornstein shut it down." He actually didn't. What he said was his information. He said, respect to the information out there, his information was that there was no talks, and he was kind of aware that that this would be a very difficult deal to do. Obviously, he says Arteta likes the player. He didn't say it's absolutely categorically not happening. He just said he hasn't heard anything, which who am I going to believe? David Ornstein or Sam C Reports? Think I'll believe Sam C Reports. Thanks. But as a player, the reason I get so excited about him is he is, as you say, a very instinctual player. Someone asked me, Faisal from Latif asked me how I would compare him and Gyökeres. I think that's quite a good comparison. I think Gyökeres is a player who they're probably fairly similar outside the box. They're not perfect link-up players. Šeško is pretty much just one touch, drops in, goes around the corner stuff. He's not going to be Kai Havertz or Jesus. In the box, I think Šeško is a lot more bouncy in the way he approaches things, and Gyökeres is more of like a train, if that makes sense. If that helps anyone. Šeško, the ball striking is absolutely unbelievable. The hang time in terms of the heading is unbelievable. The pace in behind Šeško, I think, beats Gyökeres, but Gyökeres has more got that force, the kind of the box movement, the kind of get out of my way stuff, the physical separation type stuff, whereas Šeško is like a cannon. He's unbelievable. So yeah, I really like Šeško. I think he's the best centre forward prospect on the market at his age and in his kind of age range. So if it can happen, amazing. If not, yeah, we might have to wait till the summer. But at that point, we're looking at Isak, and if Leipzig, which they would never do, but if Leipzig did a loan with buy option, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy,
mate. I would eat my.
Yeah.
I would eat my arse.
Yeah.
Okay. They're not going to do that. Also, something interesting that David said on the podcast as well, which I hadn't picked up on. Apparently, loan with obligation still stays on the year you did it. So, when people say loan with obligation is to deal with PSR, the obligation happens in the same year for PSR. So if we did a loan with obligation this year, it would go on our 24-25 season report. Yeah, which I didn't know. But yeah, thoughts on Šeško?
Me and George have been talking about Šeško since 2022.
Oh, what a mate.
2022. Back in the... Oh, my God. I love
me and my little mates in a group chat because we don't have any friends.
Which you are in as well.
No, I'm not. Because we don't talk about... Because we don't like... Oh, my God. I've got 25 replies to that already.
25. All right, cool. What's not the best one?
No. We'll deal with it later. Let's go back to your cool mates in your group chat. Oh, but he doesn't have the ball striking capacity.
Šeško's just class, mate. Šeško, I think, to put it simply, right, if you don't sign Šeško early, you run the risk of an Isak situation in which the price becomes north of 100 million, then it just doesn't become feasible. I don't think we're going to do... I'm pretty sure we're not going to buy Isak. The money will just be ridiculous. It's not going to happen. Alex, get it out of your head. It's not happening. It's not happening. So if you want to get...
It's not in January, but
what, you think Isak in the summer? No, I'll not a chance.
Okay. Then answer me this. Newcastle don't get top 4. Where does he go?
He'd have to force him for a move.
So where does he go? Well, he's not going Real Madrid, is he?
No,
because they're after Haaland long term, and they got Mbappe, Vinny, all these guys. They're not paying £100 million for a forward like that.
Chelsea will be after a striker now and then.
Chelsea will be after a striker, but they might not get top 4. They're not a title. I don't think it's so much of a big move for him that he would bother doing that. Liverpool, if Salah stays on, I think they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't remodel their attack in that way. Man United,
I don't know. I think Liverpool would be up for it. They're looking to sell Darwin Núñez, but they're not known for spending that sort of money though.
They've got like 7 attackers.
Yeah.
Man United are never getting a player of that quality when they're in a relegation fight. Spurs aren't getting him. They've got Solanke.
I just don't
so where's he going?
I don't think he's going to leave Newcastle. he'd have to force through a move. And I don't see
Ornstein
that.
said Isak was the apple of Arteta's eye.
Why didn't you pay the release clause in 2022?
When you and George were sat in a group chat going, wah. Ball manipulation for a player of his size.
Look, back on Šeško, though, what I want to say about Šeško is that I think people want a ruthless finisher. That is something that Arsenal lack. That is not Šeško right now, and I want to reiterate that. He's very raw in certain aspects, particularly in the box, and he will miss chances that will really irritate you. So if you're one of those guys who gets irritated by players missing chances, Šeško right now, as of today, is not the guy for you. But what Šeško can do is those sorts of things that really get you off your seat in terms of receive, bang, bang, right foot, left foot. He's ridiculous at it. The other thing I think with Šeško in deeper areas, right? I've always likened him to Gianluca Scamacca in terms of that touch link and the run. The run is what Šeško does really well in terms of in the channels and the ferocity of the channel running as well. He's like my striker to a T in terms of when you look at his profile. And I just feel with him, he's 6'5". It feels like the way he plays, he doesn't know he's 6'5". And when he does, it's game over. He's like a guaranteed bang, unless there's external factors that come his way. If he stays motivated, if he stays driven, his out of possession work, fantastic. There's so many transferable qualities right now in this current team. But if you want a killer, he is not that right now. He's going to miss big chances. So if you are willing to accept that, which for me, I'm always willing for my players to miss chances. I'm not that guy in which, he's missed that chance, therefore he had a poor game. I look at other things. But with Šeško, is that you invest time in him, you won't need to look for a striker for a long time.
I remember saying this about Lacazette. Like, I don't mind when strikers at 20, 21 are missing chances because you're like, you can grow out of that. But it's when we're watching Lacazette do the same thing at 30 and you're like, well, what are we learning? What are we learning here? There's nothing to learn. So, I think he's a player that I completely agree. You go and get sooner rather than later. I think if you can do it in January, I honestly do feel if Arsenal can do it in January, they will. But then if it's a toss up between Isak and Šeško in the summer, I think we'd go for Isak. You're
convinced, aren't you? You're convinced.
I prefer not to speak. Zubi broke this week. We kind of discussed it. We discussed on the pod and stuff, but just briefly your thoughts.
You boys were quick. You were quick.
Yeah, well, we were going to do a scouted anyway, so I was just texting George going, "Babe, wake up. We got to do Zubi Mendy." We discussed him on another video on the channel, so you can go check it out for sort of more in-depth thoughts. But yeah, your thoughts on Zubi Mendy.
So I've not watched much of Zubi Mendy.
It's good to have Rohan on the show. Thanks, guys.
Or would you rather me talk about the classic buzzwords?
Right, this is a good point. Back to Zubi Mendy in a second. Ultra Pro Gamer, we're the mighty Arsenal but can't get Šeško in January. Thank you. Stop with this mindset. Bournemouth would never sell mid-season. RB Leipzig want to keep him. No. But what if they ask for a bit more money? How much do you pay for a season ticket, bro? How much?
Yeah. Well,
demand some more. Demand some money's being spent. Demand some big boy cash being spent. Arteta's asking for it. He's saying, if you look at how much we've spent in the forward areas compared to other clubs, we're far from it. Just get over yourself a little bit. Believe in yourself. If you're saying to me, Rodrigo from Real Madrid, yeah, we're having a conversation because why would he come mid-season? Why would Madrid sell? Why would he move to Arsenal? That's a whole conversation. If you're looking at me and saying Newcastle, who finished like 8th last season and probably won't get, maybe they will, I don't know, but really unlikely, I think, to get Champions League football or to be in a title race anytime soon, and we can't at least put in a bid for Isak or consider that he might come to us. Believe in yourself a little bit. It's unbelievable. Stresses me out. But why would he come to us? Oh no. We're just little puny Arsenal who are in a title race for a third year in a row. Oh, we're just little puny Arsenal. Why would Antoine Semenyo pick us?
So who's rattled you?
I'm not going to ask the girl out because I'm scared. Shut up.
Who's been rattling you, Alexander?
What
are we talking about?
Zubimendi.
Zubimendi. Okay, I've not seen much of him. However, what I will say is that Arsenal's squad is going through reconstruction in the summer. Jorginho likely to leave. Thomas Partey very likely to leave. Zinchenko will be on the market, you'd think. Lokonga will be going as well. I think it's an option to buy right now for Lokonga, so he'll be back. These are players who are very pass-heavy as of today. We need passes in this team. And when we're looking at Zubimendi, I know for a fact, in terms of profile, he's one of the best out there in that regard. You know, the clubs that are interested in him, Real Madrid, Liverpool, you know, these are top-tier clubs looking to sign him for many years now as well. But I need to watch more of him. What I want to talk about, though, more, and I was talking to George about this as well, in that now we think on paper, this looks like Martin Odegaard will have to be staying a lot higher predominantly between the lines as a conventional number 10. But the concern that I have with this, right, is that let's say it is Odegaard who steps deeper and is the one receiving outside the block in the pivot predominantly. That's going to be forcing Declan Rice higher. And that, for me, would not be a good fit. Now, I don't think that will happen, but it is a possibility. It's still a possibility that could occur in which Rice is going to be pushed high between the lines as that advanced number 8. And that, for me, would be a massive no-no. But I think I'll be able to get more clarity on my thoughts there. After watching him a bit more. But I, like I said at the start of the show, I maintain that Arsenal need to build their team around Declan Rice, the midfield. It has to be. It has to be a way in which you allow him to thrive. If it's going to be a pivot of Zubimendi and Rice, that'll work. That'll work with Declan Rice. You know, I've said his best roles in this team are as a number 6 or alongside someone in which he's then able to make late runs into the box. You know, but not someone who's going to be high like you showed there. He needs to be someone in which he's receiving a lot of touches, facing play, where the game is played in front of him, not when the game is played behind him. That's not the best use of Declan Rice. So
I can see it. I'm not saying, yeah. I think on paper, we sort of discussed this in the video, the idea that this is going to be happening in terms of in the middle third, you have sort of 2 controllers in that way. Yeah, I think that kind of puts everyone at risk. You take some responsibility away from Zubimendi and you want Zubimendi basically to control the game from here. That is one of his best qualities in these sorts of zones, deciding where that ball goes. Like that is him, right? So when the ball's here, that's where you want him. In terms of out of possession, I think you can easily have him in here or have him there. When the ball's a little bit higher, I actually don't mind Odegaard being a bit higher as long as he's further over to the left. The problem is when he's here, in my opinion, because of where defensive lines are, his angles start to get shut down a little bit. If he's over here on the left and Rice is right, I think this could actually work a little bit if the ball's being circulated because he's got the balls into the half space, he's got the balls behind, he can drop out a little bit. When he's in here, he begins to, in my opinion, step at basically where he's dropping out, he's stepping into Zubimendi's pockets and stuff. I mean, ultimately, all this stuff is kind of on paper. You just have to see it how it works.
This is it. Yeah.
And I don't mind this idea that maybe we do have something a bit more like this in the final third, where Odegaard's kind of over here rather than in these pockets. Because I think sometimes he can get shunted back and go away. So he can get shunted back a little bit. And if he's over here, he can drop out and then return kind of in and have the game in front of him and pick those locks in that way. Yeah. And then you have a Zubimendi more central. You just have to see how it works. But I think the idea that Odegaard and Zubimendi, when the ball is here, are going to be in these zones, I don't see that. And I think you need to get the ball to Zubimendi. And then that pushes Rice a little bit further up, maybe. But also,
but that for me would be a massive no-no for me. You know,
that's only in certain games as well. Because if you want games where you're playing Rice there and you maybe play Marino or you may, play Jamal Musiala, whatever it is, like there can be different games.
Yeah, I mean, I might be talking absolute rubbish here because I've not watched much of Zubimendi. But for me, when I'm looking at the combination of that midfield on paper, that's the only concern I have. In terms of Odegaard as that pure number 10, let's say, he absolutely can do that role. The only thing with Odegaard is that what you alluded to there in terms of the left half space, The difference between Odegaard in the left half space and the right half space is in the left, he is more direct because the angles suit him more. Whereas through the right, he is more of that playmaker, conducting play, etc. So that's a different responsibility you have between those two positions. Although I do think this season, right, if you watch Arsenal's games, and something that we've been doing a lot is that we've always tried to maintain good height, whether we play through the right or the left. Now, we do it with the right all the time, but if you look at when Odegaard drops out on the right-hand side, our left centre midfielder floats and he moves towards the right half space. That's not something we saw a lot of last season. And also yesterday, we're doing exactly the same thing, very symmetrical when we were through the left-hand side, and Declan Rice stepped outside the block. Odegaard drifted to the left half space, and he was playing really incisive balls in behind for Miles Lewis-Skelly. And that is something that we have seen this season. So maybe that is the idea with a Zubimendi as well, in terms of that freedom there horizontally. But I need to watch him first. I do think that a pivot of Rice and Zubimendi would work really well on paper in my head. You know, having someone who is, you know, if he's a Jorginho type, which he seems to be, you're then looking at Arsenal towards, you know, the 2024 Arsenal, in which we had Jorginho and Rice games against Liverpool, etc., where we had really good performances. You could get that sort of dynamic, and that could be something that does excite me. But we did need a passer in this team, and I'm happy the club are looking to address that. So.
And then we need some legs as well. And I think you know, both can kind of come at some.
But I'm willing to. Sorry to go. I'm willing to go for the passer in this summer and go for the legs in the following summer. Especially with how Miles Lewis-Skelly. I hope Miles Lewis-Skelly how he transitions from left back to nominally in midfield as well. And also when you look at our centre backs of Gabriel and Saliba, their athletic capabilities, I think it gives us the license to risk it a little bit more with the reliance of Declan Rice. Because that's what it would be if we don't sign more legs in the middle of the park in the summer. There's going to be a big burden on Declan Rice.
Or change the fullbacks, you know, because that's another option that you put more legs in there with like Miles or whatever. But different conversation. Far too much football being spoken about on TCP Live. Do you think I look like Max Diamond a little bit?
Oh yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Like maybe my cousin or my little brother.
Yeah, I'd think if you were next to each other, you'd. We need to get that actually. We need to get.
I think he could be my little brother. I see that. It's the curly hair, sort of the face shape, sort of similar football ability as well. You know, just sort of similar level of quality. Isn't it crazy at 14 years? In fact, I'm showing a picture of a 14-year-old, and I'm going to take that down.
You creep.
But the fact they were talking about him on TNT last night, they mentioned him on TNT.
Really?
It's like 14, bro. It's crazy. Dan, we're going to talk about this right now. Did you see the clip of...
But wasn't that old, though? Weren't these old?
No, it's new. No, it's new. He spoke about it again on Stick to Football. Let me just find it. Here it is. So Gary Neville on Arsenal set-piece coach, Nicholas Jova. And I remember, obviously, I'm paid by Sky Sports, so I can't possibly comment on anything. But I
love it when you have that in.
No. I am because I have a difference in opinion on referees. I'm definitely paid by Sky Sports. Gary Neville on Arsenal set-piece coach Nicholas Jova. I called him the most. Sorry, I called him the most annoying man in football. Do you know something? I'm cementing my position. I'm doubling down. It's offending me every week. I'm going to say this really, really calmly. I think he's overreaching his importance. If a goalkeeper makes a good save, I don't see the goalkeeping coach on the edge of the touchline. I don't see the other coaches going up and getting the glory for it. The manager's at the front. He can't communicate 50 yards away to players who know what they're doing. I'm going to stop. I think he's overreaching his importance.
Wait, that is actually so good.
I genuinely believe that. I see goalkeeper coaches and brilliant coaches who work on other aspects of the game. A little bit of encouragement. Help me there. Brilliant coaches who work on other aspects of the game. I don't see them pointing to themselves and overreaching their importance. That's how I feel. I get he's important and he's doing a great job, but I do genuinely think he needs to sit back a little bit. I think the players will start to look at him as well and think, hang on a minute, come on. No, they won't, because he's been there for 3 years and he's trying to help them. Thoughts?
It's such a Yadar mentality. Isn't it? It is, though, isn't
Honestly.
it? I hate this. It's like, you know, when Jamie Carragher was like, Stuart McFarlane?
Just get down the tunnel, honestly.
Get down the tunnel, yeah.
Okay, not to side with my mates at Sky Sports, obviously.
No. Really?
I don't agree with him, but like, I mean, it's the same with manager. I suppose this is like a wider conversation. It's the same with managers. When the manager's like shouting instructions, they can't hear you. Pep said it. Pep said it in a recent interview. He's like, no, they can't hear you. It's only for us. I think there's probably a little bit where he needs to get up and get instructions across and whatever, but he gets up for every single corner. And I'm like,
no, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it.
No, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but I'm just saying, like, does he? There's nothing wrong with it. Just does he need to?
Well,
he could do what he wants. Is my point.
It could be a different instruction in every single corner. He might be seeing something in one corner in which he wants to change slightly in the second corner and the third corner and the fourth corner. The comparison to the goalkeeper thing is absolute nonsense. That's nonsense. The goalkeeping coach can't predict where the shot is going to go.
But you don't. My point is this: he can do what he wants, but you don't see the goalie coach getting up for a penalty. That's my point.
But if the goalkeeper coach did get off a penalty, then
yeah, and he can do what he wants. That's what I'm saying. My point is not he shouldn't do it, but my point is it's notable that he does.
Yeah, it's notable, but I like that. At the end of the day, Arsenal scoring corners, and that's all that matters. And if my set piece coach keeps standing up, and that is the reason why we keep scoring them, then keep standing up. Don't sit down. Don't give him a chair. That's how I see it. I generally think this is such a Yadar mentality from him.
The fact it's annoyed him is your dad. Yeah,
this is literally the same as a guy in row 2 in block 100 going, "Oh, why are we faffing around with all this build-up nonsense? Just get it up." It's just complaining for the sake of complaining. Get out of here, guys.
Or in my sake, where they were saying, "Where's the build-up?"
Yeah.
Imagine being a former Pulis Stoke player watching our build-up yesterday and hearing that is how your team played. Must be unbelievable. But who's he referring to? Cesar says, imagine being a former Pulis Stoke player watching our build-up yesterday and hearing that this is how your team played. Must be unbelievable. Cesar, I don't know who you're referring to.
Yeah.
Let us know who you're referring to. I'll come back to this. Yeah. Look, I again, just I don't care. No, I really don't care. But it is notable that he gets up for. It is notable. I'm just a bit like, do you need to?
The set piece coach, I'm pretty sure he does as well. I might be wrong. I'm pretty sure he does as well.
Okay, I think we've spoken about this before. The mural. Thoughts on the mural? Do you see that rant that Turkish did?
No, I've not seen it. I've not seen it. No.
I will say he makes a good point.
What does he say?
We don't have a mural for like Sol Campbell, like Jens Lehmann, and we do have one for Nicholas Jova.
Yeah, actually.
And I'm a bit like, no. I actually don't mind the mural. Like if I wouldn't, I think it's quite funny, to be honest.
Yeah.
Here we go, boys. I don't mind it. But I think if you're gonna have a mural like that, you have to put up murals for like everyone.
I agree.
It's kind of like, wow. But also you can do what you want.
No, that's true. That's true. Yeah. I mean, look, Sol Campbell and Invincible.
Oh, I get it. Sorry, he's saying people say we play like Stoke. Well, imagine being a Stoke player watching us play. You'd be buzzing. That's how people say. That is a very good point. That is a very good point. I mean, the whole narrative of us with set pieces is just funny, isn't it? It's just stupid.
I love it.
It should be seen as like one of the greatest innovations, and it's seen as like a joke or something.
And also, right, top teams scoring from set pieces is not something new. Go and look at Man City's record from corners over the years in which they won the league. Go and look at Liverpool's record from corners in which they've got Virgil van Dijk, meeting these crosses and Matip back in the day. The top team, the team that usually wins the league, is right up there in terms of set pieces. Always, literally always.
City have been brilliant.
Yeah, it's just they do it a different way. Like Liverpool favour those outswingers a lot. They have different methodologies, but all the top teams are good at corners and set pieces. I love it. I think it's fantastic. I think when you are a team that sustains pressure the way that we do, obviously there are things that we can improve on in terms of our overall open play attacking intent in the final third. But it's a game of probability, and this is why I think Mikel was spot on. Right, the more time you spend in the opposition's half and in their third, the more the likelihood of you getting more corners is going to happen, isn't it? And you need to maximize those situations. And that's why when you look at that Miguel Molina lecture, right, and I'll go on about it a lot. Go on about it a lot. Go and look at the first couple of slides that he does.
Just tell him you love him.
And
just
it's the game model, right? And it's the game model, and you got a lot of different categories, and you got set pieces at the end. It was there from day one. Trust me. Hey. Everyone loved the Miguel Molina.
It was actually really interesting.
They did.
And we should do some more.
Yeah.
We should do some more. Can I tell you something really funny? Right, a couple of things. I want to hear everyone's favorite slander name. This is something that I like. Your favorite slander for Arsenal players, because it is funny.
For Arsenal players.
And I now want you to chat them in the comments. But I now just want to say something. The funniest thing has happened. Have a guess who's DM'd me with my eyes and Sweden emoji.
Oh no!
Firstly, my agent says text me saying what's going on.
You have an agent?
I do. It's got 30,000 views. Who's DM'd me?
I don't know. Don't know. Give it a clue at least.
Hand of Ozil.
All right.
If you don't know who Hand of Ozil is, he's like the ITK on X. He says, "What's going on?" Odds on, I just put some fake story. Like,
please do. Actually, don't. You get in trouble.
There's been, if you want to go check it out, I'll put you just go on my X. I'll leave it up because some of the comments are just so funny.
How many likes has it got?
360. What do you know? Oh, please stop. Isak in the autumn transfer window. Is Zlatan coming out of retirement? Arsenal agreed terms with Kim Kallstrom to come out of retirement for a 6-month loan deal. Player keen for old time's sake.
Oh my God, people actually believe it as well. God,
has got to be Isak.
Listen.
But George doesn't like Gyökeres, so I don't like him. Bring Freddie home. You mean you hate Sweden? Eyes and flag in big 2025. Enjoy your trip. Enjoy your trip.
Listen, I stopped falling for ITKs back in 2012 or 2013. It was.
This is so funny.
It was Agent Alexis. That's the account. His name was Agent Alexis, and he sold me a dream on Benzema. And he was saying it was going to happen on deadline day, and I believed it all. And then on deadline day, an hour before the window closed, deactivated. I was so sad. Like, that was when I actually, I was so invested in ITKs. I've been through that. Don't go for it anymore.
Decline Rice is quite funny.
I'm
not slagging off the players. I'm saying it's we need to have slander names for us.
God. Yeah.
Can someone come up with a good slander name for me and Rohan, please? But Decline Rice is funny. Drossard is quite funny.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
Flappy Hansky was good.
That was actually valid though. Flappy Hansky is
lack of threat was funny. Lack of threat was funny. But Ben Shite isn't. It's just like lack of threat is. It's not clever.
That's too far, isn't it? That's too far.
Raheem Stealing. Raheem Shillings. Oh dear God is quite funny. Yeah,
that is good. Ghost to God, isn't it? Ghost to God's one, isn't it?
Lohan says George,
and that's from George as well.
Yeah. Slow Han. Han Solo.
Slow. I'm not slow.
Wrong Han. Why are they all of you? Hannibal's quite funny. Alex Moneyless. No, I want a good.
Oh, there's a very good one for you. There's a very good one. You know what it is.
the indifferent knockoff?
No, I don't know if I can say it here though.
Put it in the chat. Put it in the private chat. What's the one for me? Oh, just the different and then C instead of KN.
No,
but that's not funny,
actually,
is it?
No. Alexander Money Nonce.
That's just yours for me. Like you just say that. Different. Broccoli and eggplant. I want a good slander name. I want as one as good. Gibraltar Guard is quite funny as well.
Gibraltar Guard is funny.
I don't even get it. I don't know what it means. Slow hand is probably the best for you.
I'm not slow though. I'm not slow.
The different fell off. Alex Slander. It's the best so far, to be fair.
I like my one for you. Do you like my
money
one?
Nods? No, not really, mate. Let's come to the last few super chats from David. Thoughts on Lee Gunner? Christ, you're getting me clipped here. Do you know what? I will say, obviously, I massively disagree with Lee Gunner's takes on a lot of things. Arsenal. Do I think he genuinely holds a lot of his opinions? Not really. I will say credit to him for the work rate. Like he does like 9-hour streams. Fair play to him. Like I could not do that. Fair play to him.
Struggle with 1.5.
I obviously have a lot of thoughts that maybe can't be shared here, but
I just don't care. But yeah,
but thank you for the super chat. Very kind. Very kind. Thank you, David.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for the super chat.
Very kind, David. Maybe that is Lee Gunner on another account, just like hoping he gets a little shout out. Vijay says, we are 4th in corners won this season, 30 less than Spurs, 3 more than Chelsea and Liverpool. We score and we're Stoke City. Wait, Spurs have won 30 more corners than us.
Spurs' average possession for the season is quite high. I think it might be up there top. So law of averages again. You're going to get more corners the more the ball you have.
Really?
Yeah. But if you think about it, it does make sense. That does make sense though, right? You know, if the teams that are going to be ball dominant are going to have more corners, you know, and we'll get right up there as well.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
City are 167, Spurs are 163, then it's Villa on 137, then it's us on 135. Why are we getting slandered for winning corners?
Yeah, why are we getting slandered for being very good at a specific aspect of football? It's just so nonsense. Isn't it?
Bizarre. I don't want to leave this stream without a good slander name for me and you.
Goodness me, we've done an hour and 30 minutes. That's my time to get out of here.
Rohan starts shutting down.
We're not talking about
the 9-hour emergency streams are like they're just it's crazy. Honestly,
and they'll do it for straight 9 hours.
Bro, 9 hours. I mean,
eyes are going to be.
There's another side to that, but on one side,
eyes are going to be like bleeding.
Yeah, it's crazy.
9 hours.
I want a good money rupees.
Money rupees.
The alternative knock.
It's too many syllables.
A lax money pennies.
I like my one.
Actually, a lax is probably quite good.
I still like my one. Chat, mine's the best, isn't it? My one for him. And you've got to capitalize the N as well.
Think in the comments. I want anyone in the comments that listen to this right now. You have some time before next week. I want good slander. Actually, I'm going to put it as a note for next week. I want to come back and I want to know our slander names. I didn't do the size of the club. I had a game for us. We ran out of time. Too much waffling.
We're having so much fun. That's the thing, Alex.
We just have so much fun, don't we?
Sunday,
we just like talking about football and kicking fun things.
And this Sunday, we will be doing the pod together, all the 3 of us.
We will be there. Actually, I don't think we will.
No?
No, I don't think we will. This Sunday, and then George can't do it the week after. So we've got 3 together for one time. Alex the Knob. That's not a slander name. You're just slagging me off. Some of these are crazy. Do you know what we haven't done in a while, Rohan?
Yeah. No, it's just not funny. It's just not funny. Oh, actually, that was so harsh. Sorry. Sorry.
People in the chat, what do we think of that? Rohan says touch balls isn't funny.
I don't know.
What do we think?
What do you think, Alex?
Alex, look up Wes Morrison. He's a dead ringer of you. No one has ever said anyone that I look like, and it's been a compliment. Wes Morrison.
You're a young
This
Tyson
bloke.
Fury.
Wait, hang on. This bloke looks more like George. This guy? Wait, who's Wes Morrison? Wes Morrison? Who?
I don't know who Wes Morrison is.
Can you give me like an Wes Robinson? You put Morrison. Wes Robinson.
Uh-huh. That one, yeah, that one. Have a look at that one.
I see it a little bit. Maybe like in the eyes. He looks like me combined with that kid from Sex Education.
Oh yeah, Otis.
With Asa Butterfield, Otis, yeah.
Otis,
It's me. Yeah. It's me and Otis had a love child.
You and Otis.
Yeah, I see that. Why are people using their message on the member thing to say I got a tiny willy? That's actually not what you said. Just tiny pen.
That's not what he said. Yeah, you just assumed.
That's projection. That's what that is. It's pure projection. Right, we'll finish there. So before Rohan shuts down, thank you all for being here on TCP Live. We are live for our very silly, fun show on a Thursday. You know, someone actually cancelled on their Patreon. They said, "I don't get much value out of TCP Live."
Oh.
They're like, I wasn't enjoying the TCP Live podcast, so I will be leaving the platform. I was like, okay. We do have some more serious analysis you can look around, but obviously the TCP Live is for fun, a little bit of silliness.
That's a harsh message from the.
Listen, it happens. I'm going to go watch Man United be rubbish. People want touch balls, mate. So.
Yeah, go on then.
No, because you don't like it.
No, but I'm a man of the people.
We're gonna have a referendum on this next week.
No, you do it. Do it now. We've won a game. We've won the North London derby, so I think you should do it.
Spurs are rubbish. We love you all. We're back here at 7:30 every Thursday for TCP Live. Rohan, final words.
We're gonna beat Villa.
Score prediction.
2-0. I'm there. I'll be there.
We will be there.
You don't like to touch balls? So I love it. So yeah, come. You don't like to touch balls? You don't like to touch balls? Touch balls? You don't like to 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 touch balls? So I love it. The Korean guy, and so I love it. You don't like to touch balls?